Welcome back. This is part 2 of our deep dive into the career of Mr. Dave Filoni, specifically his direct contributions to the Clone Wars TV show across its 7 seasons. In part 1, we looked at the first 3 episodes he took creative control over, those being Rising Malevolence, Cloak of Darkness, and Lethal Trackdown, and it was not great. I shared my thoughts on them, but you all had thoughts as well, and as promised, I'm going to take the first few minutes of this video to respond to some of the comments left under part 1. If you'd like to jump straight into the next episode analysis, you can skip to the time code on the screen. But for the rest of us, we'll begin with a comment from @Newman or Newman CLO, who says, "Okay, I've watched Clone Wars once. My question is this: are all the episodes of Clone Wars this janky, or is it just the Filoni ones? Sincere question. It's one thing to analyze the Filoni episodes and see how there are plot holes everywhere, but I remember some pretty bad episodes of Clone Wars. Maybe the whole show is just like this, and we're looking at it through rose-colored glasses?" Now, this is a great observation, and yes, it's absolutely true. The episodes we're covering in this series, the ones that Dave took point on, are not dramatically better or worse than the quality level of most of the episodes surrounding it. The show's writing as a whole is pretty awful. The fact that the writing doesn't improve when Dave is at the helm is not a good sign, but that's not the main point of this analysis. We don't care too much about Dave's talent as a writer. I mean, we definitely do care, especially when he's in charge of writing something, and in the episodes where he's credited as the writer, I will definitely be critiquing the writing quality. But what we're really trying to nail down in this analysis is how he sees Star Wars, how well he understands this galaxy, what things he thinks are important, because that will give us insight into how he's going to lead the franchise when he inevitably takes full control. If he's not that good at writing but has good ideas, that's fine. I know a guy like that, and when he had someone else write his ideas, it turned out pretty darn good. But if Dave's ideas are bad, if his creative direction is lifeless, it doesn't matter who you get to write those ideas. It's going to be bad. @Marvin Martinez 2001 says, "Well, duh, no show ever has a perfect season 1. They're finding their foot and improve their flaws later on in the show's life cycle." First of all, no, you're wrong. There are dozens of examples of shows with exceptionally good first or only seasons. And no, the Clone Wars being a kid's show does not give it a pass. Here are a bunch of kid shows that are genuinely good and have genuinely excellent first seasons as well. Oh, and not to mention, so no, not no show ever has a perfect season 1. If you take the time to fully realize your story and characters before you write your first episode, you can 100% knock it out of the park in your first season. Next up, we have a comment from @JasonGriffin1517. I'm just going to put this up here on the screen for you to read, and I'm gonna put that right there. Yep, that looks good, and there we go. @VoidSleep-HC6ZF says, "You're not very bright, are you? Literally everything Filoni did, from the inception of the Clone Wars up until the Disney buyout, had Lucas's seal of approval and explicit blessing. Your narrative is incompatible with reality." Now, this might be a difficult concept for you to accept, considering it's a very simple concept and your obviously advanced intellect has already far surpassed this mortal plane, but just because George Lucas approves of something, that does not make it good. It does not make it the right creative choice. George Lucas, believe it or not, can make mistakes. He has made mistakes, and from my point of view, one of his greatest mistakes was hiring this clown. My narrative is not Dave Filoni bad, George Lucas good. My narrative is that when someone makes something this bad, no matter who it is or who greenlit it, that person should not then be given creative control over the whole franchise. And if George Lucas were to come out today and declare that he ghost wrote the entire Clone Wars series, that would not suddenly make the show good. It would just make George look bad. @EdgarHilbert4797 says, "There is no such thing a pedantry." I think you mean there's no such thing as pedantry. And the last comment here from @JoshPhantom. "Honestly, my only big complaint with your video is the point about Baby Fett saying she left me. While it's not impossible to do it more subtly, him vocalizing it shows that while he started using her, he had started to trust her. She is the first adult since his father that treated him decently after all. He was growing attached, like any kid starving for attention would, and her leaving really destroyed that last shred of normalcy that he had. Well, that, or he was just doing what I did when I was 5, playing Sims busting out and Bella Goth went home. I legit cried for an hour non-stop because a sim left my sim. So my mom had to put the game away so I wouldn't cry anymore, meaning it was in a cabinet for 3 years hidden from my brother and I. Crazy. And on that note, and with no further ado, let us once again dive beneath the brim into the mind of the heir apparent of the most beloved franchise in history, with Season 3, Episode 1 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, Clone Cadets.
We had a particularly special challenge with the clones on Kamino in that we couldn't make these guys that different from one another visually on the home planet. They don't have drastically different haircuts. They don't have tattoos. it's in the battlefield that they develop more of their personality and become more individualistic.
We begin this episode in the clone facilities of Kamino.
I grew up...
Shut up. The opening narration attempts to give us a bit of insight into the cloning process by telling us that these troopers are, quote, bred to be perfect soldiers. Here, I would like to introduce a new friend of the series, Mr. Nitpick. Say hi, Mr. Nitpick. Hello. Mr. Nitpick comes out to play whenever I choose to hyperfixate on a minute technicality like the annoying little nerd I am. Mr. Nitpick, can you show us which word in this sentence is technically incorrect? That's right, Mr. Nitpick, bred. These clone troopers are 100% definitely not bred. Breeding requires certain activities be undertaken, activities which bioengineered perfect soldiers should not be able to participate in. Should not. Now, what is meant by this word, of course, is that the original DNA gathered from the clone or donor has been specially modified to enhance certain qualities in the clone's genetic makeup to make them more suited to soldierdom than clones from unmodified DNA. But that process is not breeding. The term here should be created or engineered, not bred. And you might say, whatever, Max, you knew what they meant. And you're right, I do, but that's not the point. Just like we mentioned in the last video with the whole under siege misnomer, the words you choose to use do matter. They communicate, number one, how much you understand about what you're writing, and more importantly, number two, how much you care about what you're writing. Anyway, thanks for your help, Mr. Nitpick. I'm sure we'll see you again very soon. The second half of the narration sets the stage for this episode's plot. A squad of brand new clone troopers are in the final stages of their clone trooper training, and we get to see some of these perfect soldiers in action. But before we get to that, I have to take a moment to wonder about this whole training setup. This is a squad of 5 troopers, and they've been given individual personal training from a pair of private instructors, which, yeah, we'll get to them in a minute, but an army of over 3 million clones being trained and tested 5 at a time? Isn't that, wildly inefficient and needlessly complicated? Why not train in larger groups like battalions or platoons? 5 at a time, really? Also, why even use instructors at all when you have droids? Well, at least if the Jedi are having their troops undergo this level of intentional, basically one-on-one training, they must be working with the best military instructors in the galaxy, right? The topmost tactical minds, people with experience on the front lines who understand the nuances of warfare and can give practical instruction from their first-hand knowledge. Someone like an Admiral Yularen, right?
Shakti oversees the training of clones with the help of contracted bounty hunters. Bounty hunters.
Bounty hunters. Bounty hunters.
Bounty hunters? Excuse me?
What kind of nonsense is this?
What about their profession could possibly translate to a military context? They're mercenaries, famously unsoldier-like. I mean, if this were the most basic training, like how to shoot a blaster class, then sure, whatever. But we're supposed to believe that they're responsible for the entirety of the clones' training from start to finish? Why in space would that be entrusted to a pair of random thugs? Why would the Republic sign off on this? I mean, would you feel comfortable knowing that the new SEAL Team 6 was being trained by Dog the Bounty Hunter? Of course it would be funny, but that's not the point. That's not how you make elite soldiers. And before you get after me in the comments, yes, I know that the idea of the clones being trained by bounty hunters came from the EU. This was not some Dave Filoni invention, but newsflash, just because an idea came from the EU does not automatically make it a good idea. There's a fundamental difference in philosophy between bounty hunters and soldiers. A soldier acts under a compulsion of duty or honor, or in the case of the clones, innate purpose. A bounty hunter, meanwhile, acts under the influence of credits and however the hell he happens to feel on that particular day. Yes, Jango was a bounty hunter, but he wasn't chosen to be the clone daddy because he was a bounty hunter. In fact, it was probably despite that. Jango was chosen because he can keep a secret and because, frankly, the man has good genes. His genetic makeup was ideal for cloning and his natural physicality was ideal for soldierdom. That's it. His occupation was, or should have been, of no consequence, and he sure as Sith would not have been given the task of training the army. That is well beyond his or any bounty hunter's expertise. I mean, what's next? Is Boss gonna teach home ec? Are we gonna find Professor Dengar in Hall H for Intro to Newtonian Physics? Zam Wessel in Entomology 101? Oh, that one actually might make sense. But all right. The training setup for the clones is stupid, and that's disappointing, but sometimes, within stupid premises, it is possible that you can still get good stories. So let's get into the episode proper and meet our characters. These two are our bounty hunter instructors, Brick and Ellis. Brick is a hard-nosed Tommy Lee Jones type who thinks that our squad of clones, the Domino Squad, are complete washouts and shouldn't even be allowed to take their final test. Ellis, on the other hand, a soft-spoken beta male type, thinks for some force-forsaken reason that this particular squad of clones are going to be the bestest troopers ever. Ooh, yay, manufactured dramatic conflict, my favorite. Mommy Shakti is also here. She's the Jedi Master in charge of overseeing clone trooper training, and she asks the 2 bounty hunters for their thoughts on each of the clones. This allows us to finally meet our 5 D. Bradley Baker split personalities and learn about each one of their one-dimensional traits. We have the overcautious Echo, who repeats every order that comes in over the comms like an autistic tick, the brash and bullish Heavy, who has the big gun, the angsty and distrusting Fives, the nervous, cowardly droid bait, and the jokey, irreverent Irish one without a nickname. Wait a minute, Irish one.
Oh yeah, and we all look nothing alike either.
That's right, a clone trooper with an Irish accent. Now, I already made a video about this guy a little while back that was originally going to be part of this video, but I ended up spinning it off into its own thing because, frankly, this video has enough digressions as it is, and the fact that he has an Irish accent doesn't really affect the plot in any way. It's just kind of stupid. So go check that out if you want a brief exploration into the different accents in Star Wars, but for now, we'll set the cultural appropriation aside and meet our final character for this episode.
Oh my God! What's wrong with your face?
This is Clone Trooper 99, a quote-unquote defective unit that has been doomed to a life of maintenance and cleanup. This clone is hideously disfigured and constantly appears to be in tremendous amounts of pain and discomfort. And yet, the Kaminoans, in their infinite wisdom, not only chose to keep him alive and allow him to reach adulthood, but then proceeded to put his frail, decrepit old body to work in a physically demanding role. This horrifying monster, this pitiful sentient creature that the Kaminoans willed into the galaxy when he never should have existed, whose genetic mutation process was somehow botched, resulting in this contorted mortal form, is now condemned to live out his accelerated days as nothing more than the Hunchback of Kamino. What an absolute nightmare. Why would the Kaminoans allow his suffering to persist? Why waste time and resources bringing him to full term and raising him to adulthood when he is, for all intents and purposes, useless to both the Kaminoans and the Republic? Yeah, sure, he's a sentient life and whatever, but from the Kaminoans' point of view, this isn't a person, this is a product. And they would absolutely not tolerate the failure his existence represents. We know this for certain. In an upcoming scene, Lama Su, the Prime Minister of the planet, is talking about killing off the Domino Squad for no reason other than they can't work together as a team. These are fully able-bodied men in perfect physical condition, but because they aren't perfect soldiers, Lama Su wants to Varuk assault them. If he would kill off Domino Squad without a second thought for not living up to his standards of perfection, why in the ever-loving frick would he keep 99 around? What, for maintenance duty? Surely if they need maintenance and cleaning crews, droids would be the choice, right? Again, we know the Kaminoans do use droids in their facilities. Wouldn't that be obviously more efficient than freaking a fealties over here? I mean, just look at him. Was it Mommy Shakti who spared his life? No, definitely not. 99 ain't a spring chicken. He's at least a decade old, and Mommy Shakti didn't arrive on Kamino until after the war began less than 3 years ago. So if it wasn't Jedi compassion that's kept 99 alive all this time, then what are we left with? Sadism? Do the Kaminoans derive some sort of perverse pleasure from 99's suffering? I know it sounds crazy, but why else would they keep him around? And of course, that's all from an in-universe perspective. From a meta perspective, this is actually just disgusting writing. Introducing a poor little cripple trooper so that you can get a cheap emotional reaction out of your audience?
Something's wrong with you.
And speaking of Lama Su, let's dig into this scene for a minute.
I understand your concerns, Master Jedi.
A Jedi does not feel concern, Lama Su.
I'm sorry, you want to run that one by me again? A Jedi does not feel concern? Let me play a little montage for you, Davey boy. See if any of this rings a bell.
I regret that I am unable to present my father's request to you in person, but my ship has fallen under attack, and I'm afraid my mission to bring you to Alderaan has failed.
That would lead them back home.
Oh, wait, Luke! It's too dangerous!
I fear something terrible has happened. That's no moon. It's a space station. Luke, I don't want to lose you to the Emperor the way I lost Vader.
Do not underestimate the powers of the Emperor, or suffer your father's fate. You will.
Where's Leia?
What, she didn't come back?
I thought she was with you.
We got separated. Hey, we better go look for her.
Your friends up there on the Sanctuary Moon are walking into a trap.
Obi-Wan, promise me you will train the boy.
Yes, Master. I sense it too.
Pull up, Anakin. Pull up!
I am concerned for my Padawan.
Hold on, Anakin. You're gonna get us both killed. Oh, I have a bad feeling about this.
All of this is unusual, and it's making me feel uneasy.
Disturbing is this move by Chancellor Palpatine.
And our worst fears have been realized.
We must move quickly if the Jedi Order is to survive.
I need your help. He is in grave danger.
From the Sith?
from himself.
As of the writing of this video, it's just been announced that Dave is indeed going to be taking creative control over Lucasfilm, which means he'll have a huge say over every project that comes out of that studio, allowing a line like this. A line so obviously incorrect and out of sync with Jedi philosophy, so out of sync with who the Jedi are supposed to be, with how they would present themselves, even at the height of their hubris, is such a massive red flag for Dave. It either means he doesn't know, which is bad for his understanding of the Jedi, or it means he didn't catch it, which is bad for his ability to direct, or it means he doesn't care, which might be the worst of the three. You have to care about these things, even in a silly little kid show like this, because it proves whether or not you can be trusted with the big stuff. The remainder of this scene is Lama Su and Mami Shakti having a boring and frustratingly brief discussion about the nature of the clones' humanity. As I mentioned in part 1, we are eventually going to do a deep dive into this topic later in the series, but not yet. Just keep this scene in mind for now. We cut back over to the training facility as Commander Colt joins the bounty hunters on the viewing deck to watch Bravo Squad perform the Citadel Challenge. Bravo Squad completes the course in record time. Bravo Squad was also trained by Brick and Ellis, and somehow they turned out to be the best of the best. Meanwhile, Domino Squad can barely put their helmets on the right way. How did these two squads end up so different when they had the same mentors training them? Is it because one of these groups is retarded? Domino Squad takes the course and, surprise, surprise, they're still just as bad as they were yesterday. One of the clones gets shot with a training bolt, and another one runs over to him yelling, "He's injured, he's injured." Is this part of the test? Were the clones instructed to pretend to be injured if they got shot so the rest of the squad could practice their triage? Or is he actually injured? The other clones say to leave the injured one behind and continue the test. This apparently breaks rule number 1, which is, as we all know, never leave a man behind. The test is stopped and Domino Squad fails yet again. Later that night, 2 of the clones sneak out of the barracks and go to speak with Mami Shakti. They say they want to be transferred to another squad. Man, I can't believe that they would abandon their brothers like that. They have so much history together and— wait, which ones are these again? No, seriously, I'll give you a nice big shiny Republic credit if you can tell me which of the 5 clones these 2 are. Go ahead, take a guess. Now, about halfway through the scene, we do learn that this one is Fives, but that's only because the other one says his name. And we never learn which one this is. In fact, I had to go to the Wikipedia episode summary to learn that this one is apparently Echo. How does Wikipedia know that? Who knows? It isn't from watching this episode, I'll tell you that. If I were to take a guess, I'd say that it's assumed that this one is Echo, since Echo is a Boy Scout rule follower, and Echo and Fives are the only 2 from this squad that make it out of the next episode alive. But if you're just watching the scene in isolation, there's no way to know which of the clones this guy is, and that's bad writing. This whole scene is bad writing, because not only do we not know who these clones are, we also have no clue on why they want to abandon their squad, why they feel they're superior to the others, or even why these 2 specifically have decided to team up. Shouldn't we have had a scene before this where Fives and Echo discuss forming this alliance, where they can talk about why they feel held back by Droid Bait, Heavy, and Potato Boy? A scene where we could get some more insight into their characters, why Echo feels so stressed out about following orders, why Fives is so angsty? No? Regardless of whatever vague reason for their request, Mami Shakti says no, they're not allowed to leave their squad, and in fact, she's decided to let Domino Squad retake the test tomorrow. Why? What will have changed between today and tomorrow? You're not giving them extra time to train, you're not giving them anything. People actually think this episode is good? Meanwhile, the goofy Irish clone has been summoned to meet with Master Chief Brick on a landing pad just outside the facility. Leprechaun asks Brick why he wanted to see him, and Brick begins abusing him?
Hit me, you joker! Can't take anything seriously, can you? You're a real cut-up, aren't you?
Thank you, sir.
For what?
For my name. Cut Up. I like the sound of it.
And that, kids, is how I got my nickname Cut Up. Not from my brothers, but from some random bounty hunter thug while he was punching me in the stomach and telling me what a failure I was. And well, I think there's a lesson in that for all of us. If an authority figure in your life begins to verbally and physically abuse you, you should internalize that abuse, thank them for it, and then allow their perception of you to become your identity. Which reminds me, this video is sponsored by— back inside, another one of the clones climbs out of his tube and begins packing up his gear when suddenly— the escaping clone is holding a big gun, which is the writer's subtle way of telling us that this is Heavy. Apparently, Heavy has decided to, run away? Where the hell do you think you're going, you stupid oaf? You're on a Bothan-loving water planet, my guy, and the Kaminoans are going to be watching their landing pads very closely. Where exactly do you think you're going to go there, buddy old pal? And not to keep beating a dead farrier, but once again, we don't get any explanation for why Heavy wants to go AWOL, why he's abandoning his squad. The writers didn't care about any of that. They just wanted another excuse to get a cheap emotional reaction out of the audience with freaking Sloth Fratelli over here. Yeah, I got a million of these, don't worry. 99 keeps calling Heavy Heavy, which prompts Heavy to respond with—
Stop calling me that. We're just numbers, 99. Just numbers.
You're talking about the numbers.
Yes.
You're talking about the numbers.
And 99 attempts to manipulate him with overtures of brotherhood and loyalty and, oh, not to me, you've always had a name. And this convinces Heavy to come back to the group, and yay, they're a team now, and everything's fine and dandy. And everything is fine and dandy. They begin their final for real test, and they're magically good at it now. Wow. They make it all the way to the Citadel, but then we cut over to Brick, and he's doing a bit of a peepo smug. The clones then discover, shock and awe, that their ascension cables are missing from their gear. Oh my goodness, what a twist, except how? How did Brick manage to get to their gear? Wouldn't they have checked their equipment before the test began? Shouldn't that be part of the test? Making sure you're prepared? Sure, it's not technically their fault that the cables are missing, but it is their fault for not knowing they were gone prior to beginning the mission. You gotta be prepared, fellas. Come on now. Also, if proving that you know how to use an ascension cable in combat is meant to be part of this test, which it obviously is, then even if they technically achieve the stated objective, they've not completed the requirements of the test. So test over. You fail. Off to the glue factory with you. But no, they do magically achieve the objective because apparently shooting the barrel of one of these turrets shuts them all down for some reason. And that allows the clones to use the turrets to climb to the top of the Citadel and capture the flag. This is, of course, complete nonsense, contrived straight out of the writers' collective anuses in order to allow these cotton-headed ninny-mugginses to pass the test. Because, of course, if those turrets weren't so conveniently disableable or weren't so conveniently spaced and climbable, then Domino Squad would have been SOL. I mean, what's gonna happen when they're sent to the field and faced with a building that doesn't have these magic plot turrets? They haven't proven they can use ascension cables. In fact, the only thing they have proven is that they wouldn't even realize their ascension cables are missing until it's too late. Surely, Mommy Shock T will acknowledge this fact and either have them reset and try again or just outright fail them for not showing up prepared, right?
Looks like they were well trained. Perhaps the finest soldiers I've ever seen.
What?
The finest soldiers? 5 hours ago, these clowns were about to be sent off to scrub toilets, and then they had a single decent showing, one where they didn't show up with their proper gear and absolutely fluked their way into technically completing the objective. All of a sudden, they're the pride of the GAR? Finest soldiers? This is it? This is all you can conjure, Saruman? How exactly did the Separatists lose again? That's so stupid. The clones graduate, and everyone's happy, and Elephant Man is there, and he gets a medal, and oh joy, rapture, he's one of us now. So wonderful. Everyone, group hug, bring it in. Holy hot, this episode was bad. The training is stupid, the instructors are retarded and abusive, and the Jedi Master in charge of training, Mommy Shock T, is apparently perfectly comfortable with how this circus is running. This is just embarrassing. On top of that, we have the putrid, horrifying existence that is Clone Trooper 99, a fundamental misunderstanding of Jedi philosophy, which, as far as I'm concerned, is just unforgivable this deep into the show's run. And the most broken issue of them all, the one this episode gets praised for the most, is the characterization of the clones themselves.
We had a particularly special challenge with the clones on Kamino in that we couldn't make these guys that different from one another visually on the home planet. They don't have drastically different haircuts. They don't have tattoos.
So where did he look? Well, not to the writing, of course. That would be too hard. Well, what other aesthetics do we have to play with? Heavy has a big gun, Echo has must-follow orders Tourette's, and Cut Up, is inexplicably Irish. But those are all surface-level signifiers. They say nothing about their actual character. I mean, if Echo isn't rocking back and forth saying follow orders, Heavy isn't holding his gun, and Carbomb isn't actively drinking a Guinness, you can't tell them apart from Adam. Or Django, I guess. I mean, take Droidbait, for instance. Who the hell is Droidbait? He's not a character, he's a cardboard cutout with the word coward written on it. We don't get to know him at all. Why is he so scared all the time? What happened to him in his upbringing here on Kamino that put him in such a different headspace than the other clones? Did he suffer some sort of traumatic experience as a child? Was he an alter clone? We don't know because he's completely ignored by the writers. And by the way, this isn't a knock against the voice actor. There's only so much you can do when you're just a dude playing a bunch of other dudes, especially with a script this bad. This also isn't a knock against the animators. They're doing their best. It's a knock against the writer for not being able or not being willing to write distinct enough characters with clear enough motivations. And yes, it's a knock against the director for not ensuring that that distinction is crystal clear even when the characters aren't saying each other's names or holding their personality items. The fact that they are clones does not excuse this issue. There are plenty of examples with characters who are twins or clones where the distinction between them is very clear. Not just based on surface level identifiers like the one with the big gun or the Irish one, but based on their actual personalities, in their manner of speech, not just their accents, in their character. These things are supported by the performances for sure, but it all starts on the page. And if one of the main selling points of your show is you get to know the clones as individuals, then you damn well better put in the work to make them actually individual under the surface. But according to Dave's own words, they were so preoccupied with whether or not their characters appeared as individuals that they never stopped to think whether or not they had actually written them as individuals. For an episode this highly rated, I kind of expected a stronger showing, but this was really, really bad. But hey, at least no legacy characters take any damage here. It has that going for it, I guess. This next set of episodes, however, well, let's just see, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Season 3, Episodes 21 and 22, Padawan Lost and Wookie Hunt.
As soon as George described these stories to us, I said, man, I gotta direct both of these. And they're both about Ahsoka, and I always feel very connected to that storyline. When I set out to do this episode, I made sure that I had the time for a proper ending.
The opening narration sets the stage for us. The planet Felucia is a major battlefront in the ongoing war due to its high strategic value. The narrator mentions that Felucia is located alongside a major hyperspace trade route, and if we take a look at our old friend the map, we can see that Felucia is indeed located right here alongside the Perlemian trade route, which is one of the routes that connects the corporate sector with Coruscant. That makes this planet a very important asset to whichever side is able to occupy it. As a setup for a season finale of a TV show that is ostensibly about a war, this is actually surprisingly compelling. According to this narration, we should be getting a story focused entirely on one small-scale battle. The writers even went as far as to make sure that the planet they chose to set that story on fits the already established world building. I'd say we've encountered our first actual definitive point of praise for this series. I have no notes. Now let's see if they can take this setup and do anything with it. Droid reinforcements arrive at the outpost as witnessed by, oh, look who's here. Anakin, Ahsoka, and Plo Koont.
It is always you three?
Oh, but now we have a new addition. Commander Wolf and the Wolf Pack Squad. Oh, cool, Dave. Yeah, wolves are real cool. Oh, and they have a turbo tank. That's cool. You want to just shoot that transport out of the sky before they can deliver the reinforcements? No? Oh, okay. My bad. Plo divides up the forces into 3 Jedi-led attack groups that will approach the base from 3 directions. As Ahsoka leads her crew through the Felucian fauna, she senses something in the forest around them, but she dismisses it as just being an animal and they continue on their way. This will prove in a moment to be an incredibly racist comment, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The assault begins. We see Anakin and Rex attacking the main front, and Plo and the Wolf Pack fly now. Ahsoka commands her team to ascend the wall. A good thing Domino Squad is in here, am I right? Ahsoka ignites her lightsabers to cover their ascent, and man, I have to say, it's a real good thing she's on her guard here. Fully alert for anything suspicious or out of place, and not just her natural senses either. She also has her Jedi danger sense and Jedi reflexes, so there's no way anything bad's gonna happen. But seriously, there's no chance she should have been blindsided here. Again, danger sense is the thing. But not only that, Jedi are also able to sense intentions and moods, so his evil I'm gonna get you mindset should have been blaring in her senses the second he came near. Yeah, they showed her noticing something earlier, but having her chalk it up to just being an animal is not how this works. A sentient mind is very distinct from a base animalistic one, and despite their appearance, Trandoshans are sentient, intelligent, spacefaring beings, hence racism. Meanwhile, Anakin and Plo are mowing down droids inside the outpost, and within 10 seconds, the battle is over. Now, here I thought we were getting a whole episode about this battle, but nope, battle over, no drama or tension, except, oh no, Butternut Squash Girl is missing. Great. Anakin commands the troops to fan out and find her, but they won't be able to find her because Ahsoka has been kidnapped. She wakes up inside a cage on the Trandoshan ship, and she asks another one of the prisoners what's going on. The other prisoner, hey, look, it's that meme. That shows you how long I've been working on this stupid video. The other prisoner says that they have been captured so that the Trandoshans can hunt them for sport. Ahsoka seems mildly annoyed by this horrifying news, okie dokie, and then the Trandoshans take off from the planet and make the jump to hyperspace. The Trandoshans, man, Trandoshans is a long word. Is there a way to shorten it? Doshans? Trannies? Oh, no, wait. The Trandoshans arrive on a small moon and drop their prey off on a tropical island. As disappointed as I am that we're fully abandoning the Battle of Felucia plotline, there's definitely still some potential for an interesting story here. Maybe. I mean, bloodthirsty hunters toying with their prey, Ahsoka needing to stay alive on this island long enough to be rescued. It could be neat. Let's see what they do with it. As soon as the prey are dropped off on the beach, the ship suddenly begins firing on them? What? I thought you wanted the thrill of the hunt. You went through all the effort of stalking and kidnapping these prisoners and brought them all the way here just to shoot at them with a laser cannon? Where's the fun in that? Ahsoka manages to evade the blasts, but then is suddenly accosted by a group of dirty children. The dirty children tell her to come with them. She asks who they are, and they say they used to be Jedi younglings. Excuse me? What happened to their master? Did the Order just give up looking for them?
Our own counsel we will keep on killing younglings.
These younglings take Ahsoka back to their hideout, where they introduce themselves as Khalifa, Omer, and Jinx. The younglings younglings explain that they were on a training mission when they were captured and have been here for a really long time. A really long time, considering the fact that they were younglings, basically toddlers when they were taken, and now they appear to be somewhere between mid-teens and early 40s.
We've been stuck here for more rotations than we can count.
Yeah, that guy's a youngling. I have no idea how they stayed alive this long, especially considering the fact that they're stupid enough to build campfires.
Put it out, you fools! Put it out!
Meanwhile, back on Felucia, Rex reports to Anakin that they haven't been able to locate any sign of Ahsoka. This brings us to yet another Force-related issue that the episode doesn't address. As I mentioned before, Jedi are able to sense the presence and intentions of the beings around them and can tell the difference between sentient and non-sentient beings. However, when two Force users are deeply connected to each other, say master and apprentice or brother and sister, their awareness of each other's presence in the Force is much stronger and instantly recognizable. We see this with Vader and Obi-Wan in A New Hope, with Luke and Leia in Empire, and in Return of the Jedi, Vader and Luke are able to sense each other's presence while hundreds of miles apart over Endor. Hell, we even have an example from the very first episode we covered in this series, where Ahsoka, a Padawan, is able to recognize the presence of and even able to navigate to a floating Plo and his 3 clone bros. Anakin would absolutely have a constant background awareness of Ahsoka's Force presence when they are together, which means that the second she was in danger, he should immediately know about it, and he should definitely be able to sense her absence as soon as she's no longer on the planet. I recognize Anakin is acting emotionally here, and Plo does call him out on that, but the simple lack of feeling her presence in the Force should be enough to conclude that this search and rescue effort is a complete waste of time. Also, hold on just a Bothan-11 second. Plo is the one telling Anakin to abandon the search for Ahsoka because their mission is finished and they need to follow orders? After all she and Anakin did to save you, blatantly defying direct orders from the Council on the absolute minuscule, tiny mouse's arsehair's chance that you were still alive, risking life and limb and court-martial to try and save your pathetic life, and you want to give up looking for her because our mission is over, we must return to Coruscant, your emotions are clouding your judgment? My dude, if Anakin and Ahsoka hadn't let their emotions cloud their judgment, you would be dead right now. A frozen husk of compassion floating around in Albergon space. And yet here you're unwilling to return the favor? What a freaking hero. But back over on Hunger Games Island, the Trandoshan hunters arrive on their freighter/mobile fortress to begin their sport. We see in this throne room a collection of key jangly trophies from their various hunts. We see the heads of a Rancor, a Reek. There's also a wall of Wookie scalps, a pair of Twi'lek tendrils mounted above the, what is that, a fireplace on a ship? And on the back of the chief's chair, a Wampa pelt. You guys remember the Wampa? I remember the Wampa. The king of the Trandoshans says,
"The sun has risen. Let the hunt begin."
A pair of hunters rush out in their little hoverpod, immediately find the other 2 prisoners that came in with Ahsoka, and they kill them. Oh no. Anyway, I stumbled across a strange bit of trivia for this episode. This Trandoshan hunter here was apparently modeled after John Goodman's character from The Big Lebowski. The vest, the cargo shorts, the yellow glasses. I'm not sure why this decision was made, but there is a certain scene from that movie that comes to mind whenever I think about this show. But since this is Star Wars and people get mad when you use grown-up words, suffice it to say this is what happens when you sneam a Slurpo in the McClunky. Ahsoka gets big mad at the dirty children for not trying to save the other 2 prisoners, and they get big mad back at her because we don't fight, we survive. Ahsoka says she's tired of hiding after exactly 1 night of hiding and says she's going to fight. And we get this wonderful little exchange.
Do not overestimate your abilities. I'm not.
Ahsoka jumps down to the jungle floor and begins calling out,
"Here, lizard, and find me."
Which I'm pretty sure that would be a slur, right? Calling Trandoshans lizards? Wouldn't that be their word? Suddenly, a Trandoshan appears behind her, already pointing his blaster at her. Why isn't he taking a shot yet? Who knows? Now, Ahsoka doesn't have a weapon, but she does have the Force, so I guess she could knock his blaster aside. Ahsoka grabs him by the throat with the Force, lifts him up, and then body slams him to the ground like a ragdoll. Holy mother of Mustafar, what the? She must be super attuned with the Force. What a cool, relatable character. The Trandoshan gets her on the ground and levels his blaster at her again, and this time she freezes. What? Just pick him up again. It was effortless for you before. Why are you stopping? Why are you stopping, my guy? You just saw what she can do with the Force. Blaster. Kill her. What are you waiting for? Then suddenly Khalifa and the boys appear behind them, and Khalifa, the girl who was taken when she was a youngling, picks up the Trandoshan by the neck, raises him in the air, and begins to choke the life out of him. How? Ahsoka runs over and stops her from killing him because it's not the Jedi way. Yet neither is this, you pumpkin spice little freak. Also, this guy is a youngling.
We're younglings.
We next see the other Trandoshans doing some sort of ritual where they yell "Dar" and chest bump each other. Not sure what that's about, but okay. But then it crash zooms out and we see Ahsoka wake up startled. So was that a dream? A premonition? Ahsoka looks over at Khalifa and then goes back to sleep. What the hell is this episode? The next morning, the younglings are walking through the forest when they randomly look up to see the Trandoshans flying base in the sky. Also, this guy is a youngling.
That's their fortress.
The Trandoshans fly down in their little hover pods and begin firing. This causes the team to split up, the boys running in one direction and the girls running in another. Khalifa slips and falls, and then she gets shot. Oh no. She dies. They try to do a sad Boromir thing first, like, you must lead them, you must lead the others, but
Oh my god, who the hell cares?
Episode 22 picks up with Ahsoka breaking the bad news about Khalifa to the boys. They get big sad, but then the story forgets its own story. In the last episode, Khalifa explained that the three of them were all Jedi younglings captured together while on a training mission. But in this episode, Jinx says she had been here longer than any of us. So which is it? Were they captured together, or was she here longer? If she was here longer, then why did she choose to team up with these two but didn't want to help Pig Boy? What is she, kosher? Also,
we're all going to die here.
Ahsoka rallies the troops and they decide to attack the next ship that arrives to drop off more prisoners. How they plan to do that with no weapons is beyond me, but I guess you gotta do something. They stake out the beach and wait for the ship to arrive. When it does, they run out and frickin' Hulk jump their way onto the hull.
They fly now!
Ahsoka again activates her Spider-Man powers to stick to the viewport of the ship. The Trandoshans see her because of course they do, and once again the Trandoshans just refuse to shoot their blasters when they have a perfect shot. Ahsoka goes after the pilot, who does shoot at her, but thankfully she remembered her danger sense this time and is able to easily evade his shots. How fortuitous. During the battle, the controls get blasted and the ship begins to crash. Right before it does, Ahsoka hits the prisoner release button, and the junior Jedi leap from the ship as it crashes on the beach.
Well, I guess we won't be escaping on that ship.
But actually, that went horribly wrong for you. The only hope you have now is that, I don't know, one of the new prisoners survived the crash, and he just so happens to be the only being in the galaxy that could possibly get you out of this mess. But that would be ridiculous, right? There's no way even Dave would do something that contrived. There's no way Ahsoka Tano's continued existence in this galaxy rests on something as astronomically absurd as that, right? Chewbacca? The absolute audacity, the hair-raising numbskullery, the unmitigated gall. How in the effervescent fudge did the mighty Chewbacca get captured by a bunch of great value Gorn? What an unbelievably short-sighted, simple-minded, creatively bankrupt decision. And what's even crazier, what's even more outlandish and unhinged is that the Trandoshans tell us that he was the only prisoner aboard the ship when it crashed. Dave literally grabbed his Chewie action figure off the shelf and dropped him onto this island to help him save his precious Ahsoka. And of course, now that Chewbacca is here, everything magically works out. Chewie uses parts from the crashed ship to make a radio that he uses to call in reinforcements who arrive, when you know it, just in the nick of time and save the day. And not only that, he was able to build the transponder in a cave with a box of scraps. I cannot stress this enough. If it had been literally anyone else in the entire galaxy on that dropship other than specifically Chewbacca T. Wookie, our heroes would be dead. How lucky for the galaxy he just so happened to show up.
When something of the magnitude of Chewbacca appearing on the Clone Wars happens, you can always rest assured as the audience that this comes directly from George Lucas. There we were in the story meeting. We're going to do our Ahsoka story, and George says, and I would like Chewbacca in this story. So, okay, you're going to get Chewbacca.
Oh, this was a George idea. Oh, so then it's automatically okay, right? Dave is off the hook here. He was just a good soldier following orders, right? Wrong. First of all, look how squirmy he is. He's all, hey, look, it's not my fault Chewie is here. It was George. My hands were tied. Yeah, sure, I specifically chose to direct these episodes, but that's because it's an Ahsoka story, not because I wanted Chewie here. Come on, guys, it's not my fault. And yeah, George may be to blame for the fact that Chewie is here in the first place, but it's your show, dude. You need to have the cojones to stand up to him when he's telling you to do something stupid. And whether it was his idea or not, Dave's name is the one on the end credits, and therefore he is wholly responsible. But let's say George was adamant. Chewie has to show up in this episode, figure it out, or you're fired. All right, well, in that case, hands truly tied, you still could have done so much better than this. Maybe you make it so that it's only been a few weeks since the younglings were captured instead of, what, years? And the Order is still actively looking for them. Kashyyyk has joined the search and rescue operation, and Chewie, who we know was working with the military at this point, is one of the pilots they send out. Kashyyyk has clearly lost many Wookiees to this Trandoshan bloodsport malarkey in the past, somehow, and considering Trandoshans and Wookiees literally live in the same system, orbiting the same sun, a pretty reasonable first place to look would be one of their moons. After a few days of searching, Chewie finds Trandoshians Island on a flyby, but is shot down by the Hunters. The younglings see his ship fall from the sky and head to the crash site. Chewie's ship can no longer fly, but he's able to send out a distress signal back to Kashyyyk, and in the meantime, he helps Ahsoka and the younglings stay alive long enough for the cavalry to arrive and rescue them. Now, this setup isn't perfect either. There's still a lot of conveniences that are going on to make it work, but at least it's more than "and then suddenly Chewbacca appears." What an awful decision. We hard cut over to Coruscant as Chewie and the children arrive at the Jedi Temple. Anakin rushes out to meet Ahsoka and begins apologizing profusely for not being able to protect her. She assures him that he did nothing wrong, but then goes off about when she was all alone. All she had were the lessons he taught her, and because of that, she was able to survive. And that's nice and all, except where the hell was this the whole episode? This payoff comes out of nowhere. At no point across this entire arc has she even mentioned Anakin's name. There's no "my master taught me this" or "what would Anakin do here?" This payoff is paying off a completely missing arc. I mean, imagine a scene between her and Anakin before the Battle of Felucia begins. She's all amped up to attack the outpost, but Anakin tells her to be patient. He impresses upon her that she needs to be mindful and remember her training because he won't always be around to protect her. And then Ahsoka, being the brat that she is, ignores him and rushes in anyway. Then when she gets captured, you're in a prime position to do a whole arc for her about how she should have listened to her master, and we could see her meditating on the lessons Anakin taught her, trying to figure out the best thing to do, trying to curb the recklessness of the younglings. That's an arc. That's a real character arc that they pretend they took her on at the end of this episode, but they didn't do any of the work for it. Also, this guy—
Stop saying that!
Now, we gave Dave a fair amount of grace at the end of part 1 because he was still pretty new to the making Star Wars side of things. And the mistakes he made in those early episodes, while I wouldn't call them acceptable, I would be willing to concede that they're at least understandable. But now here we are, season 3, 66 episodes and a movie into Dave's career with Star Wars, and we're still seeing these glaring issues. He's more than happy to spend time and money, real actual dollars, paying 3D artists to sculpt Rancor heads and Wampa pelts so that he can tickle your nostalgia glands with Easter eggs, but meanwhile he doesn't spend nearly enough time with the script to really make sure all the characters are actually developing and going on meaningful journeys, or are even characters at all. These 3 episodes prove that Dave Filoni fundamentally misunderstands the Jedi, their powers, and how those powers scale from novice to mastery. He has no restraint when it comes to nostalgia baiting his audience, and the core elements of the show, the things people are tuning in every week to see, namely Ahsoka's character arc and her relationship with Anakin, amounts to nothing but an empty husk of wasted potential. Now, let me say that again with different visuals on screen. Dave Filoni fundamentally misunderstands the Jedi, their powers, and how those powers scale from novice to mastery. He has no restraint when it comes to nostalgia baiting his audience, and the core elements of the show, the things people are tuning in every week to see, namely Ahsoka's character arc and her relationship with Anakin, amounts to nothing but an empty husk of wasted potential. It was Filonitha all along. The exact same issues present in the Ahsoka show were already present here, more than a decade before. But because this is a kid's show, no one paid close enough attention to notice them. This is why this series of videos is important to me. This is why analyzing things critically in general is so important. Because if Dave had been exposed as the fraud he is when these episodes were first released, we would have been spared so much of the nonsense that's been fed to us through his creative leadership. But Dave didn't get his position at Lucasfilm because what he makes is good. He got his position because what he makes is popular, because it's what you remember, because it's red. And as long as fans keep responding positively to his pandering, to the cameos and key jingles, there will never be a reason for him to dig deeper than that, and this is all that Star Wars will ever be. This brings us to the end of part 2. Just like at the beginning of this video, part 3 will kick off with a comment section showcase as well. So if you want to take me to task for how I completely ignored the deep emotional moment where the murderous chief's son dies from his own stupidity, then now's your chance. I can't make any promises as to how long it'll be until part 3. These videos take a while, and I still have a big old list of other topics to cover along the way, but trust me, I will finish this series if it kills me. Shout out to my Patreon peeps, especially Savoyinator, Iron Mandrill, Blind Observation, Sunny Muffin, Jake Farron, Samuel Sataba, Jake the Snake, and Psycho Naughty. Thank you all so much. I am truly grateful. The Patreon is where I post the YouTube copyright evasion free director's cuts of all my videos. You don't have to be a paid member to access them. They're all available for free members as well, so go check those out. Also, if you're still watching this deep into the video, you might want to come hang out in the Zorro Cave Discord server. The link for both of those are in the description below. Look forward to the next video coming soon, TM, and until next time, my friends, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.
Do not overestimate your abilities.
I'm not.